You didn't cause the crash, so now you're thinking, do I even have to report this to my insurance company? You're worried that your rates will go up, or maybe if you say something wrong, it could backfire. I'm Max the Axe, the gold standard in personal injury, and I handle cases all across Texas and California. And I've seen way too many claims go sideways because people forget this one step. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly when you do and when you don't have to report an accident to your insurance company, and what to say if you do. This way, you can stay protected. You can avoid any surprise denials, and you don't give the other insurance company any leverage. Do I have to report my car accident to my insurance company if I wasn't at fault? All right, let's get into it. Why reporting matters, even when you're not at fault. So you've just been in a car accident here in Texas, and you're wondering, if this thing wasn't my fault, do I even need to report this to my insurance company? It's a great question and one that I get all the time from my clients. Many people think that if they report an accident to their insurance company, even if they didn't cause it, that it'll somehow come back to bite them. Maybe your first thought is, I'm just going to handle this with the other person's insurance company. Or maybe it's, why do I need to tell my own insurance company if I didn't do anything wrong? But the truth is, both Texas law and your insurance policy are very clear about what to do in this situation. And if you don't do the right thing, it could hurt you. Let's talk about why reporting to your own insurance company is usually the smartest move, even when you're not at fault. What Texas law says about accident reporting. First things first, in Texas, you do have a legal duty to report certain car accidents regardless of who's at fault. According to Texas Transportation Code, if a car accident causes injury, death, or property damage over $1,000, you are legally required to report the accident to law enforcement. But here's what people don't realize. That law is about calling the police, separate and apart from your obligations to call your insurance company. The government won't come after you if you don't report an accident to your insurance company. However, your insurance company probably will. When you signed up with your insurance company, there was probably a part of the contract that requires you to notify them promptly after an accident happens, regardless of who's at fault. Your insurance policy is a contract between you and the insurance company, and you've agreed to do certain things in exchange for coverage. Your insurance contract probably has a line in it that says you will notify them as soon as reasonably possible after a car crash. So while the Texas law does not legally require you to report every accident, your insurance policy probably does. And if you don't report the accident to your insurance company, you could lose coverage, even when it's not your fault. And that's something that trips up a lot of drivers. What happens if you don't report? Real-world consequences. Let me tell you about a client named Mary. This is not her real name, but this is a real situation. Mary was hit from behind while she was waiting at a stoplight in San Antonio. The other driver admitted fault at the scene, so Mary thought everything was pretty straightforward. She would just deal with the other person's insurance company and not report it to her own. She was worried that her rates would go up if she did. At first, everything seemed fine. The other person's insurance company seemed very friendly and said everything would be taken care of. But over time, the other person's insurance company started dragging their feet. They claimed that Mary's injuries weren't very serious, and they questioned the visible property damage to her car. Suddenly, Mary had a lot of medical bills that were piling up, and she wasn't able to drive her car. The other person's insurance company then suddenly told her that they're denying the claim because there's no coverage, without explaining anything further. Mary then called her own insurance company to try to get some help, but they told her that they couldn't help her because she didn't report her claim right away. Her insurance policy said that she had to report all accidents reasonably promptly, and she had waited too long. And this happens far more often than you think. A lot of people get into car accidents and think, well, if it wasn't my fault, I don't really want to have this on my record at all. But your insurance company can use this delay against you. They can say that you broke the terms of your contract, and as a result, they were not able to investigate the claim reasonably promptly after the car accident happened. This could result in a full denial or significant reduction in what they pay you. So even if you don't end up needing their help, it's always good to have that safety net. Your insurance policy is a contract, and it's not optional. It's important to remember that an insurance policy is a contract with specific details and requirements on you. If you look at your Texas auto policy, you'll probably see a section that's called duties after an accident or loss. This part almost always says that you have an obligation to notify your insurance company after a car accident, even if you know that the other person is 100% to blame. So why is that? It's because your insurance company wants to be protected from the start. If someone ends up suing you, or another driver changes their story down the road, your insurance company wants to have investigated the crash from the start. And if you keep them in the dark, you could lose coverage even if you did nothing wrong. Some Texas insurance companies are stricter than others, but all of them want the opportunity to investigate a crash from the beginning. The more time that passes, the harder it is for them to go check out your vehicle, go to the accident scene, or try to find potential witnesses. Any delays can hurt their ability to defend your case or pay your claim. That's why a delay, even one that's harmless, could mean that your insurance company is refusing to pay for your repairs, your medical bills, or your legal defense if things get complicated. Will reporting an accident raise my rates? One of the reasons people hesitate to tell their insurance company about a car accident is because they're worried that their rates will go up. It's a fair concern. Nobody wants their rates to go up when they didn't cause a crash. So here's what you need to know. In Texas, insurance companies usually can't raise your rates just for reporting a car accident that wasn't your fault. Now, if you make a claim under your own policy, such as for personal injury protection or PIP, your insurance will pay you first and then go after the other person's insurance to pay them back. Even then, Texas law says that insurance companies cannot increase your rates when the crash wasn't your fault. Sometimes your insurance rates may increase when you decide to renew them, but this is unrelated to your claim. This is usually because of general price increases or other factors, but not simply for reporting an accident that wasn't your fault. However, if you don't report and something goes wrong, you could lose coverage completely. That is a much bigger risk than a small rate hike, and one that is not worth it in the end. Remember, the simple act of reporting does not mean that your insurance rates will go up. However, if you were at fault, the insurance company will probably raise your rates because they will see you as a riskier liability when it comes to providing coverage for you. But if the accident wasn't your fault, then the insurance company does not see you as the risky driver. So if the accident was somebody else's fault, it's a good idea to stay protected with your insurance company in case you need their help later. How much time do you have before you should absolutely tell your insurance? Let's talk about timing. You should always report an accident to your insurance company as soon as you can, usually within a day or two. Here are some cases where reporting is extremely critical. You're injured or you think that you might be. Injuries aren't always apparent immediately after the crash. If you wake up the next day and you don't feel right, you should report it to the insurance company as quickly as possible and get to the doctor to get checked out. If there's any dispute about fault, even if the other driver admits that they caused the accident, sometimes things change later and drivers change their stories. Protect yourself now by making a record right away. The other insurance company won't pay. If you're having trouble getting your car repaired or getting a rental car while your car is in the shop, your insurance company can step in and then get reimbursed from the other guy's insurance company later. This is called subrogation, and it's a common safety net here in Texas. The other driver is uninsured or underinsured. Texas has a lot of drivers on the road without enough coverage or any coverage at all. If you need to use your uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage from your policy, you need to report that accident to your insurance company as quickly as possible. You get sued or threatened. If the other driver tries to blame you or threatens some sort of legal action, your insurance company will step in to protect you. They will provide a legal defense for you, but only if you tell them about the accident. Even if it's a minor bump or scrape and everyone seems honest, it's a good idea to still report it to your insurance company. You don't want a small issue to turn into a big headache. How to report. What to tell your insurer. A lot of clients get nervous about what to say when they call their insurance company. Here's some advice. Just stick to the facts. Tell them where and when the accident happened, who was involved, and any property damage or other damages that you suspect. You don't have to assign blame, speculate, or try to argue your case. Just give them the straightforward account of what happened. Don't guess about injuries or damages. If you're not sure, you can say so. The important thing here is to give them notice, but it's better to over-report than under-report. If you have a police report, give them the police report number. If you've already talked to the other driver's insurance, you should mention that to them as well. But most importantly, if you feel like there's something wrong with your body, if you feel some tightness, numbness, tingling, or just a little discomfort, you want to mention that to the insurance company as well. If you're worried about saying the wrong thing, you can always talk to an attorney first. Here at our firm, at Lone Star Injury Attorneys, we make these calls all the time to make sure that our clients protect their rights and keep their options open. What if I waited too long? Maybe you're watching this because your accident was a few weeks or months ago and you're worried that you've waited too long. Don't panic. Even if it's been weeks or months, don't let your fear keep you from reporting the claim to the insurance company. Every insurance company has different rules and flexibility, and it's better to report it late than never. Explain why you waited and be honest. Sometimes insurance companies will still accept your claim even if it's been weeks or months later. This is especially true if you have a good reason for the delay. For example, you were hospitalized, you were focusing most on your injuries, or the injuries didn't appear right away. But the longer you wait, the harder it gets. So the best time to report it is right now. How reporting protects you later on. I've seen too many cases where clients come to me months after an accident and they haven't called their insurance. Now they've got sky-high medical bills and they're facing a lawsuit. And by then, sometimes it's impossible to get the coverage that they paid for. Reporting an accident, no matter who's at fault, is about protecting your future. Your insurance company can step in to help pay for medical bills, defend you from a lawsuit, or make sure that you're not left holding the bag if the other driver or their insurance company ends up not cooperating. Think of it as a safety net that you hope you'll never need, but you'll be glad to have it if things get complicated. Ready for the next step? Here's what we've covered. Reporting accidents to your insurance company is always the right move, whether it's legally obligated by the law or your insurance policy to protect you from surprises down the road. Delaying this step could cost you money, coverage, or just peace of mind. And remember, in Texas, as well as many other states, your rates do not go up if you were not at fault. If you found this video helpful and you want to know how you can get paid after a serious truck accident, take a look at this other video that's called 3 Ways Companies Can Be Forced to Pay You After a Truck Accident. I'll walk you step by step in what it takes to get real justice, especially when big companies don't want to play fair. Plus, I'll be talking about the tricks that the insurance companies play to avoid paying you what you deserve. Your rights and your recovery depend on what you do next. Watch that video and protect yourself and your family. I'll see you over there.